Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's so exciting to have such a passionate group of alumni here with us this morning. And I also want to give a special thanks to Dean Lewis for the College of Business and Dean Ward from the Graduate College for joining us this morning. My name is Grace Brethel. I'm one of the volunteer leaders of the Women of UC Network, along with Patty. As leaders of the Women of UC Network, we are honored to celebrate the achievements of our incredible alumni. This network fosters empowerment, leadership, and connection between Bearcats across a variety of backgrounds and industries. As March is Women's History Month, a time to reflect on the impact of women in our community, whether that be Winona Lee Hawthorne, the first female graduate of UC in 1878, to today's incredible alumni and their achievements. Women have played a huge role in the Bearcat community and beyond. As a graduate of the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences, I can attribute much of my success pre- and post-graduation to the female connections I made at UC, whether that be through being a Kappa Kappa Gamma, connecting with fellow female professors and students, or tapping into my mom and fellow Bearcat alumni's network here in Cincinnati. These women helped me find my first job, my first apartment, navigated me through engineering school, and now the male-dominated field of construction. They have all, thank you. They have all pushed me to go towards my dreams and helped me succeed in everything I've put my mind to, including getting involved in the Alumni Association and the Women's Network. So through the Women's Network, UC, we try to do a balance of fun experience as well as professional programming like today. So I'm so excited to hear from our speakers. This program will be recorded and sent out in a follow-up email as well as posted on our YouTube channel. The questions posed today were asked by you all, and if we have time at the end, we should be able to ask some additional questions if we don't get to all of them. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for this morning's conversation, Alex Craig. Alex is a senior at the University of Cincinnati studying public relations in the College of Arts and Sciences, and she'll be graduating this May. Congratulations. During her time at UC, Alex has served as a leader of UC's Student Alumni Council, also known as CECH, an organization that fosters relationships between students and alumni by assisting the Alumni Association in staging and marketing experiencing, boosting students' Bearcat spirit, and encouraging alumni involvement with students prior and post-graduation. This past year, Alex was honored to serve as the SAC 2024 Homecoming Chair. She's also involved in Bearcatathon, Greek Engagement Board, and is a member of the Chi Omega fraternity. She's very busy. And last but not least, Alex is a member of the 2025 Senior 100 cohort, a distinguished recognition that celebrates the top 100 seniors that follow UC's mission of servant leaders in our community, an honor that we both share. So congratulations. Alex, thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Grace. Coming to UC, I had no idea about the amazing community I was about to gain. All my life, my parents encouraged me to find a school where I felt at home, and when I walked onto campus back in 2018 as a sophomore in high school, I knew this is where I belonged. I have had some amazing moments at UC, while I've also had to deal with hardships while being away from home for the first time. My Chi Omega sisters have gotten me through time span and tough times, and my professors have lifted me up when I needed the encouragement. Being surrounded by strong female leaders in my sorority has continued my passion for helping my community, leading me to work closely with Cincinnati Children's Hospital through the Children's Miracle Network. In all my organizations across campus, I have met women who continue to inspire me and better myself every day, and I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here today. It is an honor to moderate this conversation between these two incredible women who will share the career journeys, insights, and advice on breaking barriers and achieving success. Before we dive in, let me share a little bit about them. Our first panelist, Sheri Conn, is an alumna of both the College of Engineering and Applied Sciences and the Carl H. Lindner College of Business. She has built a distinguished career scaling global companies as a Hollywood studio executive and C-level consultant at Disney, Netflix, Paramount, DreamWorks, and Riot Games. As CEO of DumDum Augmented Intelligence, she helps companies unlock creativity and innovation. A visionary and status quo challenger, Sheri is known for stepping into pivotal roles where she drives creative innovation, revenue growth, and business transformation. As the founder of the consultancy project, she delivers meaningful results for Fortune 100 companies, cutting-edge startups, and senior executives by leveraging her decades-long expertise in brand marketing, global management, and strategic leadership. While she strives and thrives being a catalyst for change, Sheri is equally committed to ensuring that the growth she fosters is sustainable, laying the foundation for long-term success. Our second panelist, Dr. Richara Richardson, is an educator, leader, and advocate dedicated to empowering individuals and transforming urban education. As the owner of Empower to Elevate Consulting, LLC, she inspires others through motivational speaking, professional development, and coaching. With a passion for addressing challenges in urban education, Dr. Richardson has researched high school retention rates and applies her findings to drive student success. She is a 4-time UC alumna and has degrees in English literature and African American studies, an M.Ed in educational administration, and an educational ed in urban educational leadership. Dr. Richardson has served in impactful roles with Cincinnati Public Schools, Dayton Public Schools, Families Forward, and the YMCA. She also mentors with Ladies of Leadership and serves as the board vice president of Mustard Seed Faith Outreach Services. Recognized with the Black and Latino Achievers Award and the Strive Award, she remains committed to fostering academic excellence and mentoring future leaders. Welcome, Sheri and Dr. Richardson, and thank you so much for joining us today. Your experience in leadership, innovation, and education are truly inspiring, and we are excited to dive into your thoughts. Let's jump right in, and please join us up here. Thank you both for being here today. Sheri, I would love to start off with a question for you. So you've worked with some of the biggest names in entertainment and technology. What key leaderships have you learned from navigating these dynamic industries?
I would say my overarching learnings are really what I've always lived by, which is to always be curious, always be learning. That lifelong learning has served me incredibly well to keep my career and my interests really fresh and really being on the cutting edge of what's next, especially in entertainment and technology, the fields that I'm in. I also think it's always great to surround yourself with diverse opinions and ways of thinking. The saying, we've always done it this way here, or this is the way we do things, that is the kiss of death for me. I was never one just to keep the ship, steering the ship straight, or rinse and repeat types of jobs. I always wanted to do something new and fresh and find a new innovative way to do something. And so, really looking for people who aren't just doing the same thing again and again, but who really challenge me in different ways, challenge my thinking. I thrive on that. I love that. And then I think it's, again, always great to be able to operate really well in the gray zone. While you're going towards the big vision, the big goals, being able to be nimble, to be flexible, to be scrappy, even in a very large organization, global organization, it definitely has served me well. Being able to live in that uncertainty while knowing that we're going for the big goals that we're trying to achieve.
I have a follow-up question for you. Is there someone that's been like a challenger for you, someone who's given you those challenges to think about harder?
I'd say I probably push myself more than anyone else pushes me. I'm my own worst critic. I'm the one who sets my own bar higher. But I would say definitely throughout my career, each step that I've been in, there's always been someone that I found that I could feed off of, and who definitely has challenged me directly or indirectly to raise the bar, more for myself even than the business. But I will say that looking back, I am also my toughest critic on myself, pushing myself to go, more and more and more.
Thank you for sharing. Dr. Richardson, you've had a diverse career in education, from teaching to leadership and consulting. What inspired you to take on these different roles, and how have they shaped your approach to empowering students and educators?
I actually jumped into education almost by accident. I initially thought I wanted to be a lawyer. When I was in high school, we had some actually UC law students come and teach street law, and I had the opportunity to be a mock attorney, and we presented in front of a judge. So I thought that was my route until I began substitute teaching for Cincinnati Public Schools, and I just began to develop a passion for students excelling. And I think my aha moment was one time I was substituting at the time it was Shield Primary School up here in Clifton, and I was getting the students together, gathering them in the morning. And one of the students, she said, who are you? And I said, I'm your teacher for the day. And her eyes lit up. She was like, oh my gosh, we have a Black teacher. And I said, wow, and she was, her and her friends was whispering, saying, we have a Black teacher. So, in that moment, I'm like, wow, like they've never had, they never seen anyone that looked like them. So that at that point, it made me realize that representation, matters. And just over the years, just my passion to see others excel, trying to push them to get up from point A to point B as being a teacher, being a coach, being a mentor. And I eventually moved into administration. I've had a couple different jobs over the year working through HR and with some of the nonprofit, but moving into educational leadership, I wanted to be a change maker. I wanted to be the one to be able to help teachers develop the acquired skills and tools needed so that students can be successful. So, just over the years with my training, research, and the training here at the University of Cincinnati, being able to do that. And then on top of being able to reach people that are not only in K through 12 education, which is why I moved into consulting, being able to give, teach some of those acquired skills as well.
Thank you for sharing. So I have a question for both of you. You've both taken on leadership roles that require juggling multiple responsibilities. How do you balance day-to-day work, special assignments, and those unexpected drop-ins? Sheri, if you'd like to start, we can move on to Dr. Richardson afterwards.
Yes. For me, it's. I would say I have not really juggled it very well. In the past, my early years, I definitely put in lots of hours, put in the work for sure, because I wanted to do everything, be everything to everyone. But really, really trying to prioritize what would most move the business, be very aware of kind of the domino effect. If something slipped, what that meant down the line, not just for myself or the business, but for others. If people are waiting for an answer from me or something like that, I definitely don't want to put them in a bad position where they can't deliver. So I, almost like on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on before someone else. It's making sure that what I'm doing takes care of everyone else as well. But really prioritizing not just short-term reactions, but making sure we're delivering against the long-term goals at the same time. And again, it really happens over a matter of time rather than on a day-to-day level. It's hard on a day-to-day level to really prioritize and not just react.
Dr. Richardson.
Well, for me, it's a little different. In my position, I have to be organized because we have so many disruptions and distractions that go out through the day. But it started for me as a young single mother, just having to be, organized. So a lot of the routines that I use is, keeping a calendar and making sure that all my appointments and, schedules, anytime I've had any engagements or when I was in school studying, I actually learned, we took a organizational management class for like freshmen here at UC, and that pretty much started my routine on how to be, better prepared, how to be organized. But I also use checklists. I'm real big on using checklists and prioritizing those checklists on what needs to be done first. The position that I'm currently in, I'm an assistant principal for elementary school. Our day can change at any minute. My calendar is booked from the time I walk through the door to the time I walk out. However, I don't always get a chance to complete everything that's on that schedule because we may have an emergency. A child may get sick, a parent may want to come in. I mean, it's just so many things. But knowing that I have that, the list of the schedule, I can go back and prioritize on what needs to be done. But my main goal in the position that I'm in now is to ensure that the children are safe. So that's how I tackle, that priority list. Is everyone safe? Is there, a hostile situation? So then I kind of move down my list, and I just make sure that I want everybody to know they're important. Because if a parent's coming in disgruntled about their child, they feel like in that moment they are important. Or if a teacher needs some support and is about to in the middle of a breakdown, they are important in that moment. Yes. A student, so everybody is important. So I try to, nurture and cater to those needs in that moment and let them know if it's not the right now emergency that I definitely would get back to them.
Absolutely. I'm personally a checklist girl too. That's how
I
I
am
get
too,
my, it's the
100%.
easiest way to keep things in order. I have a sticky note on the corner of my laptop at all times. So I understand.
I have multiple checklists. Counterproductive.
Well, thank you both for sharing. Sheri, I have another question for you. As someone who challenges the status quo, what advice do you have for women looking to break barriers and drive innovation in their careers?
I would say always ask for what you want. And not just once, and not just at an annual review, but look for opportunities when they arise and just, raise your hand and say that you want to do something if there's an opportunity, or even if there's not an opportunity that comes up. I wasn't always great at that, especially earlier in my career, of just being in very straightforward ways, saying exactly what I wanted or what I was looking for, what I was hoping to get. On the flip side of that, I would say, though, also make the most of what you're given. So even if you want something, even if you ask for it, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get it, or you're not necessarily going to get it right then. So the first role that I had after I moved to LA was at M&M Mars, the candy company. But they had other divisions beyond what you think of in terms of candy. They had a pet food division, which is where I worked, Pedigree, dog food, and Whiskas, cat food. And I was in consumer packaged goods brand management. And so in those roles, companies typically hire you, or at least they used to, as a class. So they'll have, maybe 10 different people, grad students start, either right after your MBA or a little later. And when I was there, we were a class that had all started in the summer, and all of us had been working at least one job before, so we were a little more experienced. And I was moving from Kimberly-Clark, which was in Wisconsin. I was the Huggies brand manager in Wisconsin, in Appleton, Wisconsin. I was moving to LA, and because of a project I needed to finish up, I was the last person to join this class. And because I was the last person, all of my peers had already been assigned their positions. And so going into this room on day one, everyone's sitting up straight, like, this person's now the brand manager of Pedigree dog food, and this person is now the brand manager of Whiskas cat food. Those were the prestige positions because they had the bigger budgets, the flashier things relative to dog and cat food. And so when I show up, the position that was left was to be the brand manager of Pedigree and Whiskas snacks and treats. And so I come in, I meet everyone, they introduce me, and all of my peers kind of give me the head tilt, like, oh, nice for you, too bad for you. Like, we have the cool jobs. You're over in snacks and treats, which was dusty, no one had worked on for years. It was losing money. But I came in and took that as an opportunity because no one cared about it. The best jobs can be the ones that no one else wants and no one cares about. And I had no budget, I had nothing, I had no support, anything. And I convinced them, my boss at the time, to let me go buy a $150 video recorder, Back then, you couldn't record. There were no phones. Couldn't record on your BlackBerry. So I had to go buy at Best Buy a little camcorder and convince them to let me pay for 10 ethnographic research studies. So I interviewed 5 cat owners, 5 dog owners, and I served as my own research moderator and went out on camera and interviewed them and talked to them about the emotional connection they had with their pets. Came back, edited the videos myself, put together a presentation, a 5-year plan of how we were going to revitalize this business and what I needed from them, management, to do. And I think they were so shocked that I did this that they gave it to me, which was so funny. And so I ended up reporting directly to the president. I didn't have to go through layers of corporate, and turned around that business and launched the #1 selling dog snack in the industry, fastest growing brand, even though we were fighting against mad cow disease at the time, which stopped our products from going on shelf. But did that, went on to, and they gave me an award, flew me to a global event that was all based on make a difference employees. I mean, all of this because I had the job that no one else wanted. No one cared about it. I could dig in and totally just run with it, and ended up having much more visibility and much more success than anyone who ended up getting that high-profile, fancy job.
Thank you, Sheri. Dr. Richardson, you've worked across various roles in education and leadership. What strategies do you use to inspire and develop high-quality educators and mentors?
So one of the first things I do is I work on building relationships. That's important. The school that I'm at now, it's my first year at the school. Didn't really know the staff. It's a staff of about 70, 75. It's kind of hard, for someone to get to know that many people in a short amount of time. So the way I do that is by being, supportive, first of all, listening to their concerns, and then we work together to find strategies for some of their challenges. I'm also big on, with this group, is doing observations. But along with those observations, I just don't offer, only feedback, but I provide coaching. I feel like coaching is very important. As a leader, some people would just tell you what to do and tell you what you're doing wrong. But I want to be that person to kind of show you and help you and come up with ways to do things correctly. I also try to encourage people, in the job I am now, is for people to be more compassionate. We have students who have experienced a lot of trauma. So, trying to take the me person out of the moment of what's going on with that student and trying to be more compassionate. And also try and encourage, I love to build confidence. So I give, teachers, like right now, opportunities to lead or provide or to share some of their strategies or some of their best practices with others. So those are some of the things that I like to do to, build leaders.
Is there someone that helped you build these tactics to mentor your fellow employees?
A lot of it is experience. I've had training at the University of Cincinnati. I've also, I am a 4-time degree here at UC, but I went back to get an MBA at the Ohio State University, where I also received some additional training. We have professional development, but a lot of it's by experience. And, understanding and getting to know people, listening to them, what is it that they want? How do they want to be received or perceived? And sometimes it's just, congratulations. I do shout outs, daily for staff who go above and beyond. And I also try and reach out to those, staff who, feels like no one sees them, and let them know that they're appreciated.
Thank you. So I've a question for both of you to start off. What accomplishment are you most proud of and why? And Dr. Richardson, would you like to start us off?
This is kind of hard because I've had so many, but I have 2 that that pretty much stand pretty pretty dear and near to my heart. And two of them kind of came about the same time, which is why they are close. One is being a young mother of my daughter who's here. She had to undergo a heart surgery when she was young. She was diagnosed with a heart disease. And when she was 1, she had to have heart surgery, which didn't go the way they wanted to go. And she ended up having to have a trach and a feeding tube and be hospitalized at the Children's Hospital for about a year. And, her prognosis wasn't well, and we didn't know, how long, she would be here. And over the years, she was able to heal and, support my family. She eventually went to high school, and they didn't even think that she would get, past the age of 13. So her completing high school was a wonderful feeling for me, but the icing on the cake was her being able to actually go to college and complete her degree. And while she was in college, she not only had academic and medical challenges, she had to go undergo an open heart, 12-hour open heart surgery. Even with all of that, the proud moment was when she stood in front of her student class and was able to give the student union address, sharing her challenges. And that was very proud for me. But along that, when she had her open heart surgery was the year that I was trying to finish up my dissertation. My dissertation journey here at the University of Cincinnati wasn't a traditional one. Long story short, because it's a long story, I experienced 2 chair advisors passing away on me. So after that, I lost motivation. I just felt like that was not my purpose anymore. But through the help of some, very impactful people at the university, I was able to push forward and complete them. And the same week that my daughter had her heart surgery was the same week that I had to upload everything through the university portal. So while she was healing in a bed, I was over on the side trying to get everything edited and uploaded. And that year, part of the issue with her heart disease is that her oxygen saturation rate was not at a normal level of 99, 100%. She was living off of 80% oxygen, and then the doctors at the time was saying that there was nothing they can do to fix it. But that surgery later in the years, once they fixed and replaced some valves, pushed her to have 100% oxygen rate. So the same time she was getting 100% oxygen rate, I was completing that dissertation. So, I just felt like this cloud that had been lifted, off of me, knowing that, my daughter, had an opportunity to, live. And then me being able to, at a moment where I didn't think that the dissertation was going to be, and finishing that doctoral degree was ever going to be possible, they just all came together in that same summer. And I'm very grateful.
I'm very glad that your daughter is healthy and well now, and also congratulations on finishing your dissertation. Shout out. That story resonates with me. I actually have a similar experience that happened back in October, right around homecoming. I had a major surgery 2 days after, and my mom is currently finishing up her PhD right now at Bloomington, and she sat there doing her dissertation the entire time while I was undergoing a major surgery. So shout out to the moms. Y'all are amazing, so thank you. And Sheri, I have the same question for you. What accomplishments are you most proud of, and why?
Oh my gosh, how do I follow that? Well, I have a few. I would say when I was at Disney, after my amazing time spent in dog and cat food, brand management, I moved over to Disney, and with 5 days' notice, boarded a plane and flew to Hong Kong and helped open Hong Kong Disneyland. I had 2 months to completely rework a global marketing campaign. I was flying all over Asia, doing research, feeding it into agencies that I had working around the clock in New York, LA, Paris, Hong Kong, Shanghai, and just went full out to turn this campaign around in 2 months, because you don't open theme parks very often as in your career. And this first summer attendance records are the most important because it sets your trajectory. So luckily, we were able to turn it around and better the forecast for attendance by double digits, which was amazing. But it was also, I don't think I slept very much during those few months. So that was my time, my highlight at Disney. When I was at Paramount, I started there right as we were going into a recession as a country, but also right at the time that home entertainment, so think DVDs and Blu-rays, they were also starting to take a nosedive. And most studios, most companies, their gut reaction was just to slash prices, cut prices, put everything on sale. And actually, the group that I was leading, we did the exact opposite. So instead of slashing prices, we gave them more of the stories and the swag and the toys that they loved, and introduced 2-packs and actually raised prices. And my P&L was the only one that actually grew over that period of time, and ended up having over 40% of my sales in more profitable and higher priced product. So that was an interesting time as well. At DreamWorks Animation, I started up the first ever global franchise development that was there on How to Train Your Dragon. I worked on How to Train Your Dragon and Shrek, along with some other movies as well. And it was the first time I basically took that brand management experience and combined it with what I did in entertainment, and created this new way of looking at the business. And when How to Train Your Dragon 2 launched, it was the largest cross-studio revenue launch we had ever done since Shrek in about 10 years, which was amazing. Riot Games, I don't know if anyone in here is a gamer. Maybe not. League of Legends is this multi-billion-dollar unicorn success of a game. And I went there, they had never been in entertainment before, and so I went there to help them with some early thought leadership. And I was not a popular person when I told them that they needed to choose Netflix as their partner to do Arcane, which was their first ever TV series. Everyone wanted something that was a little more award-winning type of, partner, but it ended up being the best choice for them globally. And it cut to when Arcane launched, it won the first Emmy for both of them, both Netflix and League of Legends, for Best Animated Series. And I'll say really quickly, my last accomplishment I'm in right now, so I'm now working for the family that owns Friday the 13th IP. Jason, the hockey mask. And it's been around for 45 years. It's 45th anniversary this year. And I've been working with them about a year and a half, and have built out, and we're executing on a 10-year plan to reinvigorate the property. So for anyone who's a horror fan, get ready, back of it this year. But we are on the path to do new movies, new games, new merch, new theme park experiences, all kinds of things. And so that's been really fun, and to do it me, myself, and I, without a big studio behind me, has been fun.
Well, congratulations on those achievements. Sheri, I actually have another question for you. Creativity and business often seem like opposites. How do you help companies balance innovation with strategy to achieve sustainable success?
Yes. It's really interesting in marketing, there's so many creative people in marketing. There are creative people in many different areas. and especially in entertainment with storytellers and directors and artists. And everyone loves to be in a brainstorm and throw out all kinds of fun, creative, cool ideas. But the one thing that you always have to remember is that you have to be able to root it in a return to business. And so all the fun ideas in the world are great unless you happen to not have budget limitations, which I've only worked one place, at Riot Games, where you didn't have budget limitations because they were making so much money. But you always have to be able to, at the end of the day, put those creative ideas or the creative advances that you want to make in context to the bottom line, in context to the P&L. Whether that payback, we'll invest X, Y, and Z, but this is the payback we'll get to the bottom line. And so always being able to root creativity in a measurable result is the most the most effective way that I've been able to move forward with companies in balancing that and being able to get even your top financial executives excited about investing in creativity, which usually they aren't.
Thank you, Sheri. Dr. Richardson, with your experience in both consulting and education, how can businesses and schools collaborate more effectively to empower students and future leaders?
Great question. So what I'm doing in my coaching is I'm also offering personal development and leadership development. I really feel like that this is important to develop people in your organizations and in your companies. Not only have professional development about content and delivery, but also learning about themselves, strengths and weaknesses. I had a position where I was the liaison between the school community and community partners. And what we did was we worked to find out what were some of the needs of the families in the building, and we would work with some of the community partners to assist in assisting with those needs because of the funding. We couldn't always provide the one-on-one. So we had companies and organizations who would volunteer to tutor. We had companies and organizations who would do, coat drives and who would come in and provide the students with opportunities. We have partnerships with the Cincinnati Arts programs, and they will provide students with opportunity to go and view Broadway plays. And we even had an organization and gave our students opportunity to participate in squash. And in a story that I'm going to share, I love stories, but the school that I'm currently in now, at the beginning of the school year, many of the teachers, they referred me to several students who we call the influencers or mean girls. And yes, so part of my job is to assist with discipline, try to cut down on referrals. So I wanted to try and figure out a way to be able to do this in a way where students weren't only being disciplined and not being held accountable. So I began to work with these students in different grades, 4 through 6. And we would do restorative circles. We would talk about goal setting. And since these were some of the things that I also do outside of, my day-to-day work, I started an empowerment group with these girls. And we are using this group to have the students be more accountable, learning how to set goals, learning how to use some of these influences to be more positive. And they are doing great. I've been hearing so much great feedback from their teachers on some of the decisions that they're making, how their grades are improving. And some of them even want to come to school now because they have something to look forward to. So me just incorporating that, that personal development, helping them to identify their strengths and weaknesses, as well can, be utilized for their personal and academic growth. So one of the organizations, Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce, I did the We Lead program with them. And just throughout that program, just learning about myself, learning what my purpose is, goal setting and what are some of my strengths and weaknesses has allowed for me to be, a better person, a better employee, better consultant, better mother, better friend. So I just really feel like a lot of those organizations should incorporate that personal development piece.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much. So before we wrap up with the final question, I want to give the audience the opportunity to ask any questions. Grace and Patty are going to be walking around with microphones, and we ask that you raise your hand if you have any questions.
I'm loud, so I never need to do this.
Testing, testing. Hey, it works. Hi, I'm Bree Coggins. I work for the UC Foundation. When you encounter setbacks, disappointments, what reframes or approaches do you use to work through those?
A strong believer in God, first of all. So I always praying for some type of guidance or direction. But my thing is progression, making some type of progress. Even when I was working towards trying to get the dissertation done, even though the end task seemed like it was so far away, what I began to focus on was small steps. What are some things that I've accomplished this week to achieve that goal? And that's pretty much how I tackle a lot of the things that I need to accomplish. And then sometimes I do know that you can take a couple steps back, but hopefully I'm moving more steps forward. Progression is one of the things that I look to. And, I believe in self-care. Sometimes you may be down about some things that didn't happen your way. What are some things that you like and love to do? To make me feel better. I'm a member of a massage company where I get, monthly massages. Sometimes I like to go to my favorite, restaurant. So finding those things and then regrouping, and trying to encourage myself to keep moving forward. But as long as I see some progression, like one of the things that when I was working on my dissertation, I was set and say, next week I want to put at least 12 hours towards the research. And, those 12 hours, it could be 2 hours this day, 3 hours that day, an hour this day, but the goal was to, at the end of the week, get to that 12 hours. So just making those baby steps is how I accomplish a lot of the things when I have those setbacks.
I would say very similarly, just put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving and going forward. I was talking before we started here that my entire career was not planned. And I just would always continue, even if I didn't know where I was going, I would just continue to move forward, or at least what I hoped was moving forward, not sideways, not backwards, but just continue to move forward. And, what I have grown to appreciate over my career is that things do or don't happen for a reason, and there isn't just one way to get X, Y, and Z. There are many different paths in life. There are many different ways to be successful. There are many different ways to achieve certain things. And as long as you keep moving forward and be open to saying yes to new opportunities, especially opportunities that you never considered yourself, really try to be open and think about what you can give, but also what you can get out of it.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ariana Pitts. I'm a third-year college student at UC. My question is for both of you guys. How have you managed to make sure that your voice is heard in this male-dominated world?
Well, first thing is being able to come and participate in events, such as this. I'm grateful for the women of UC, and when I learned that they were trying to find, alumni to be able to come and connect and engage and give back, that was all about, what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be. So I'm grateful to be here for that. I have asked, some of the UC staff to point me in the directions where I can connect and engage more. So that's something I want to do. And I also serve on, different organizations throughout the community where we're always doing projects and programs where we're giving back and we're making our voice heard. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, National Sorority Phi Delta Kappa, National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa sorority, and Ladies of Leadership. And so all of these organizations, we are working to, and most of them, deal with women, and we are working on ways to where we can advocate and, address concerns of, what we have as women.
Yeah, I would say, again, I would be bold. I'd ask for what you want. I wouldn't be afraid to ask the questions, throw out your ideas in meetings, and if someone, male or female, tries to take that idea, parrot that idea, which happened to me many times, repeat it again and say, thank you for highlighting my fabulous idea that I just had. Because that is very real, especially in corporate America. There are many times where people in meetings, their MO is just to repeat the good ideas that other people have. So there are definitely some elegant ways that you can turn that around in a positive way for you as well. But, I would also say, as much as, of course, we all want to support other women and you want to find great mentors, you want to lift women up, and you hope that other women pull you up as well, I think it's also very important to find male mentors as well. And have have men who will advocate for you, who will, in the meetings you're not in, speak very highly of you. And so and again, I'm in corporate America, you can't do it alone. Women can't just pull women up. You need men to pull women up as well and to be your biggest cheerleaders. And so I've been very lucky over my career to have both women and men in executive positions who thought highly of me and really supported me, not just in a room together, but when I wasn't in a room. And that absolutely has helped me progress in my career, but also I've been consulting for 8 years, land many clients as well. I've had just as many men as women who have recommended me, again, without me being in the room, without me asking, without me knowing until after the fact. So I think that balance is necessary.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Snyder, ANS class of 87. It's just great being here today. As you've worked your way through your careers and things, there's bound to be times where you screw up, right? How do you recover from that? I don't know. For me, I get in my head too much. How do you get out of your head? How do you figure out, how do I move forward?
I would say for me, obviously, many screw-ups over the years. But I think owning it, for me, owning it is, and being very humble about it, owning it as quickly as possible, and jumping into, and here's how I'm going to fix it, or do something different, or look for others to help bring in to move forward. But again, to me, forward movement is key when you can, once you get over the hump. Because if I just sit in stillness, it's all in my head as well, and I can't get it out of my head, and then you go into a spiral. But when you're able to shake that off and go into a forward motion, whether it's fixing that or moving on to something else, to me, motion has always helped.
To me, having mentors, professionally, personal mentors. I'm not the type of person who typically likes to ask for help, even though I encourage people to ask for help. But, sometimes I just can't figure it all out. And, typically my thing is going back to the drawing board. That's what I use, with my staff. This didn't work. Let's go back to the drawing board and come up with another challenge or strategy. And, I do that amongst myself, and I also reach out to people who may have experienced some of the things that I went through and trying to get, their advice on some of the things, but what they do. And it's really been helpful because sometimes we can get in our own way. I remember just recently I called someone to ask them about a situation, and they said, I think you're thinking about it too much. Just try this and that, and it worked. I tried what they told me, and it worked. And I was just like above my head, so I was grateful to have someone who can bring me back and say, you're way above what you thinking about it too hard, and just try this or that, and then it kind of got me back on the right path.
Thank you all for those questions. And to wrap up the conversation today, I have one final question for the both of you. If you could go back in time, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself when you were young at UC? Dr. Richardson, why don't you go first?
Okay, absolutely. If I can go back at UC, I would encourage my younger self to attend more events at UC and network. I was a little reserved and shy. Eventually, I began to join programs, towards the latter part of my term here. But there's a lot of amazing things going on here. And I just spoke to someone recently. I went to a breakfast with the Bearcats where they talked about mental health awareness. And I invited my cousin who's a transfer student here. And they talked about all of these wonderful things that they have over at the Student Wellness Center. And, she told me, she said, wow, those, I had no clue that those things were here. That's amazing. So just being able, I feel like I didn't get a chance to take advantage of everything while I was here because I didn't know about it. And another thing was, building a relationship with your professors. A lot of them would like to help you, would like to know what challenges that you're having. We're so afraid to, talk to them. You just to let them know that, I'm learning. I want to know more, but I may be having a challenge in this class. And you would be surprised how many professors would be willing to help you. Wish I had known that as well. Did I say a network? Yeah, going to these events and being able to network and have fun. These years go fast. I just wanted to share a quick story that I'm actually in the stomping grounds of what introduced me to the University of Cincinnati. My mother actually started working here as a secretary for the football office when I was in middle school. And I used to come right out here to some of the football games. So that, started my journey and my love for being a Bearcat. And, with her being on campus, I had the opportunity of, she moved from the football office to the UC advising office in the athletic department. And I met Stephanie Russo, who was the, head academic advisor. So, learning that I had that support as well, I was very grateful for that because, at this university, me being a first generation college student, I had a lot of challenges, and finding those spaces here on the campus. I eventually became a member of African American Research Center Choir, just to help motivate me to be, to feel engaged, to feel more motivated to be a student.
Thank you. Sheri?
I would tell myself maybe to relax a bit more and have more fun, and to be okay with the fact that I didn't have a plan. Like, I would look at people who knew exactly what they wanted to do and had, the next step and then all the different things mapped out and planned. And I did not have that. I just kept moving forward and said yes to things, but I didn't really know at the time that was okay. That not having a plan, but being motivated and ambitious was enough. And so I could have had a little more fun than I did. And I would say also similarly, networking, just meet more people, all kinds of people. I wish I would have really broadened my horizons even more and just made more connections than I did. I mean, I had great friends and definitely had a cross-section of folks that I was friends with, but I wish I would have broadened that even more and come at it in a way of being curious about people and developing even better bonds and relationships. Because in work and in life, relationships are everything. And I've learned that again and again, especially in entertainment. You know, if you're there at the table, you can do the job. You can do the work. But what takes you to the next level, always, are your relationships. And do people want to work with you? Do people know about you? Do they respect you? Do they trust you? And so having that network, having as broad of a network who feels that way about you is really critical, again, in life and in work.
Thank you both so much. Can we give a round of applause for Dr. Richardson and Sheri Conn? Thank you both so much for sharing your journeys and your insights with us today. Your experiences and advice offered unique and valuable perspectives and surely inspired many, including myself. Your work is truly making an impact, and we appreciate the inspiration you've provided to our Bearcat community. It was a delight to be your moderator today, and for this discussion with that, I welcome Patty Kotz to provide us with a few final thoughts.
Thank you, guys. So thank you, everybody, for coming. You may not know that this event has been an idea that we've had in the works for many years, and so we actually pulled it off. I'd like to see us do this annually and going forward. Thank you very much. So I'm thrilled. Thank you all for being here, especially to Alex. I mean, you are quite an impressive young lady, and I think any company would be happy to have you, and good luck to you. Thank you so much for being a moderator. And to our Dr. Richardson and to Sheri, thank you so much. Your backgrounds and your experiences are so different, but yet there was a commonality in your comments that I think was really profound. So thank you so much. Women of UC is a network that you do have to opt into. So I think many of you who have come to these events have heard me say this before. So please help us spread the word. What that means is you have to opt in to be on our server list, on our mailing list. So you all are now. Thank you, because you've attended an event. But as we continue, we have many, many, many female alumni in the greater Cincinnati area. We'd love to see 100 people at this event, 200 people at this event as we move forward. So help us spread the word. So as you continue to get any information from the Alumni Association, in particular to Women of UC, please spread it to your networks as well as we continue to host events like this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Grace or any of the great people that we work with at the Alumni Association, Maggie, who's my partner in crime over there. So, and again, thanks again, and enjoy the rest of your day.